Welcome to another exciting episode of the Epic Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Brad Sugars, the Chairman and CEO of Actioncoach, and today we're diving into the minds of some incredible business leaders, uncovering their real stories, strategies, and the secrets behind their victories. It's not just about success, it's about the journey, the hurdles, and turning challenges into opportunities. So let's jump right into it.
Welcome to the Epic Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Caitlin Blundell, your host for today, and I'm so excited to welcome Mackenzie Gorman, the driving force behind Meadow Aesthetics in Wichita, Kansas. In her business, Mackenzie is passionate about helping people look and feel their best, and today she's joining us to help other business owners feel great about their businesses too. So let's start with the top 3 things that you did that have made you successful in business, and maybe tell us how others can follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, so top 3 things. So that it's difficult for me to narrow down to 3 things, but I think first and foremost, I just had a very clear vision with what I wanted to do with my business. And so I think that's really what's made me the most successful, is just knowing where I started and knowing where I want my business to go, and just trying to navigate from point A to point B. That's been by far the biggest thing that's made me the most successful. Also, I'd say number 2, I started very small. Right now I'm a solo entrepreneur. I own my own business. I don't have any employees. And so I do have big goals to develop into a bigger business. However, I feel that would have set me up for failure from the get-go if I started out that way. So for me, that'd probably be my number 2 thing, is just I just started really small and focused on what my niche is and what my specialty service is for clients. And then number 3 would probably be honestly just word of mouth and networking with other business owners and like-minded people in my community. I feel that was really helpful in building a business from basically nothing and from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Really, really interesting to hear you talk about your vision. So a strong vision is so important. It pulls you forward. Can you tell me a little bit about, has your vision always been the same since you started the business, or has it kind of evolved over time?
I would say it's kind of changed over time. I have 3 young kids that I'm raising. And so, at first I thought I wanted to have this huge medical spa with, multiple locations and, 100 employees and all this. And I feel I've kind of narrowed it down to really particular things that I want. And yeah, so I feel it kind of changes as I go on my business entrepreneurship journey, but overall, I feel it's still kind of the end goals have kind of stayed the same as far as the culture that I want to drive into my employees down the road. So I feel the culture has always stayed the same. It's just the physical goals maybe have changed over time.
Yeah. Yeah, so the vision that's pulling you forward is still maybe a bigger practice one day down the line, but it sounds like your focus today is really dialed in on your clear goals for right now.
Yeah.
Amazing. So just to recap the goals, that strong vision that's pulling you forward, staying really focused and doing that, by being a solo entrepreneur for now, and then the value of that network and the people around you.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning, what made you decide to go into business in the first place, and why this particular business?
Gosh, I feel that's kind of a loaded question for me. So I started out I'm a nurse practitioner. I started out as a nurse. I did bedside nursing for 10 years. And gosh, I was mid-20s, late 20s, starting a family, and I was wow, my wrinkles on my forehead are really bad. And so I went and had an aesthetic treatment done as a customer, and I was I think this is kind of the route that I want to go with nursing. And so that kind of was the one, getting a treatment myself and the service that I provide was probably the one thing that kind of made me go down the journey of looking into this field of nursing. As far as going into my own business, I didn't start my business from from day one. Like I was an employee and I worked for other like medical spas, and I think that was important for me to like learn as an employee along the journey of becoming an entrepreneur with the goal that this is I want to do this by myself at some point.
So even when you were an employee, you kind of had that lens of how can I do this?
I did. And then like as a bedside nurse for 10 years, I went back to nurse practitioner school with the intent of opening my own business. So that I felt like that was kind of a risky move. But I think I knew going into nurse practitioner school that this is kind of like my interest of business. And once I finished nurse practitioner school, I was going to be opening my own business.
Amazing.
So, and then like, I don't know, just back to again, like having a young family. It's like I have 3 small kids, and like being able to be my own boss and have a flexible schedule while I can like still raise my kids while they're young. That was like really something that I wanted. Like I didn't want to continue working, 12-hour shifts in the hospital and not seeing my kids before they go to sleep and things like that. So that was a big part of it for me, was just like having a little bit of a better work-life balance, owning my own business and making my own schedule.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. What does it mean to you to be able to run your own schedule in that way?
I feel like there's pros and cons of that. As the only provider here, it's like if I don't work, I don't make money. But it's like if my kid wants to go have a field trip, then I can just block off my schedule for a couple hours and be like, I'm not going to see patients for a few hours and go enjoy the time at the zoo or whatever with my kids. And so the flexibility in the schedule has been probably the best part of being an entrepreneur for me. It's been a good experience for me.
Yeah. I bet you learned a few things as an employee that have helped you be a great boss to yourself.
I did. I've worked, my family and I, we have moved a couple of times over the last several years. And so the aesthetic medicine industry is difficult in general just to get your foot in the door. And so luckily I had the opportunity to be an injector in other areas and multiple different medical spas. And there was pros and cons of that. Like I didn't have any of the overhead and like, I didn't have any say in like the things that were happening necessarily. I didn't have to make those big executive business decisions, but at the same time, like I learned like what kind of leader I wanted to be and what kind of leader I didn't want to be. And so I feel like it did help me as a business owner, like learn like what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do with my business.
Wonderful. In this time, since you did go into business for yourself, what's been your biggest challenge? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you overcame that.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So for me, I feel like my biggest business challenge has honestly just like been learning how to do business. It's like I went to nursing school to learn how to be a nurse. I went to nurse practitioner school to learn how to be a nurse practitioner. And like I didn't go to business school, and it's like I didn't know anything about business. And honestly, I would say that's probably still the biggest challenge that I'm facing now. And it's something that I kind of have to guide through on a daily basis, which is why I have a business coach to help me with that. But it's still a challenge that I face all the time because at heart, like I'm a nurse and I'm a provider, and it's difficult to wear all the hats and be a business owner and a clinician in a business as well.
Definitely. Is there any kind of story or example you can tell us about that? Maybe something that helped you kind of overcome some of that being stuck or not knowing the next move?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, a lot of it was just just business knowledge in general. It's like I felt like I didn't have a great grasp of anything business related at all. And so usually like when I would go to like an aesthetic medicine conference or something, I'd focus on the clinical aspect of like injecting and becoming a great injector, because that is important to like be a master at what you do. But I have learned that it's been helpful for me to like maybe attend an extra conference or two per year and just focus on the business side of it instead of going to the clinical pieces of it, to just like go and like learn businesses and business specific towards medical spa and like cash-based businesses has been probably the best helpful, like the thing that's been the most helpful for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. A mentor once told me, the more you learn, the more you earn.
Yes, cannot learn enough.
Is this learning curve of being in business, is it kind of what you expected, or has it been a surprise?
A little bit of both. It's been like in aesthetics, I feel like a lot of people will just kind of branch off and like do their own thing, and they don't really know what's involved of like running a business. And you see a lot of like little pop-up medical spas that they don't survive, and it's hard because it's an oversaturated market. So yeah, it can definitely be challenging, but I'd do it again. So.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like you've risen to the challenge.
Yeah.
Let's look at business coaching for a minute. You mentioned you're working with a coach to kind of help you through this learning curve and navigate what it means to have a business and not just a job. What prompted you to work with a coach, and what's it been doing for you in the business?
Yeah, so I will say, like, when I was injecting at other places, like, I had other people to, like, bounce ideas off of. And when it's just you and your business and you're running your business, I think it's just a good idea to have a coach or someone that you can, like, talk, like, your business challenges through, and someone that knows business well, to get you through those challenges. And then I feel like it's important to have someone that like loves your business just as much as you do. And I feel like that's what I get with my business coach and action coach.
Yeah, it's obvious your business means a lot to you. I'm so glad you've got that support in your corner. Do you feel like having that support behind you, does it push you to do things differently than you would on your own?
I think so. My business coach has pushed me to make some uncomfortable. I'm a very comfortable, like, don't like change kind of person, and I know that you have to make changes in order to like grow and scale your business. So I would say I probably wouldn't have done those things without her like encouragement to say, okay, you really do need to increase your prices. You haven't done this. Mm-hmm. It's time to do this. And that just helps you be more successful over time.
Yeah, that's a great example of something that pushes you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. It's like, I'm already in like an expensive industry anyways. And then I'm just like, man, like, is that something I really feel like I need to do? Because without her, like, hands down, I probably would have never changed my prices. Like, it's just not something I would have done. But it's like when you have someone that you can rely on to say, this is what I think you should do, and this is why I think you should do it, then it just puts another perspective into it from a business mindset of why you're doing what you're doing so that you can become more profitable over time.
Sure. It gives you the courage to take that step. All right, final question, Mackenzie. What piece of advice would you give to another entrepreneur? Maybe even somebody like you with a young family, or who's looking at starting out as a solo business? Yeah.
So, you know what? I don't know if this is something I learned through business coaching or not, but I feel like I've heard this same like quote over and over and over just in the last like 6 months. And it's something that I'm like currently living. And I wish someone would have told me this 2 years ago when I opened my business, because I'm still a fairly new business owner. And especially if you're someone that's like solo or wanting to just start business and be yourself for a little while. But I've always been told, like, you can't sell your business if you are your business. And That's something that like really hits home with me, because even though I don't have employees right now, that's something that I'm going towards, and that my coach is helping me through. Because it's like everyone's end goal is to grow a business and then sell it at some point. It's like, if you're the person that does all of the business, like how are you supposed to be able to sell that? So I feel like that would probably be my top advice for someone that's looking to start like a solo entrepreneurship or a business, that you are the person that everyone relies on to do the service, is just to kind of think about that, and like think about, even if you're just like trying to grow a small team, of like something that you can really make your business to where it's not totally encapsulated by you, even if that's just like 1 or 2 employees, to where you can step away from your business and still have something that you can sell at some point that's not just you.
That's such a great answer. And that takes us right back to the beginning of the conversation, and that idea of that vision you've got that's pulling you forward. So it sounds like that's maybe a component of your vision, is that idea of having something that is an asset that you can pass on to the next owner, next generation of managers to come in when you're gone.
Absolutely.
Once that business has served its purpose in your life.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Mackenzie, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such a great chat. I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot listening to you, and I'm so grateful for you for coming and sharing your story.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. Huge thanks to our amazing guest for their pouring their heart into sharing their journey. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.